The Bee Gees' discography is vast and diverse, reflecting the musical evolution of the band over several decades. Brothers Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb built a unique legacy, spanning different musical styles and impacting the industry across multiple eras. Below is a detailed analysis of the Bee Gees' main albums, with an emphasis on compositions, vocals, and stylistic changes within the band. The Bee Gees sing and play 14 Barry Gibb songs, 1965. This debut album presents songs composed by Barry Gibb and recorded before the band moved from Australia to the UK. While it's more of a compilation of previous recordings than a cohesive album, it showcases Barry's early talent as a songwriter. The tracks have a folk and pop sound typical of the 1960s, with Wine and Women as a standout. Bee Gees First, 1967. With the release of Bee Gees 1st, the Bee Gees were recognized as a psychedelic pop band akin to the Beatles and the Beach Boys. Songs like New York Mining Disaster 1941 and To Love Somebody display deep and emotional lyrics. Robin Gibb takes the lead on many tracks, especially the ballads, while Barry shines in more energetic vocals. The instrumentation includes orchestration and complex arrangements, adding richness to the album's sound. Horizontal, 1968. This album continued the psychedelic trend of its predecessor, featuring hits like Massachusetts and World. Massachusetts was a worldwide hit, establishing the Bee Gees as an international success. The vocal dynamic between Barry and Robin is evident, with Maurice also contributing backup vocals and instrumental arrangements, including guitar and keyboard. Idea, 1968. Idea reinforces the Bee Gees' versatility, featuring both ballads and more upbeat, experimental songs. I've Gotta Get a Message to You and I Started a Joke stand out, with Robin delivering an emotive performance on I Started a Joke. The complexity of the lyrics and the themes, such as redemption and tragedy, reflect the introspective side of the band. Odessa, 1969. Considered one of the Bee Gees' most ambitious albums, Odessa is a double album that mixes rock, orchestral music, and country. Tracks like Odessa, City on the Black Sea, explore historical and complex themes. This album marked a transition and brought creative tensions among the brothers, leading Robin to leave the group temporarily. Cucumber Castle, 1970. With Robin's departure, Barry and Maurice continued and released Cucumber Castle, which has a sound more focused on country and pop. Don't Forget to Remember was the main hit, with Barry taking on most of the vocals. Although well received, the album didn't have the same impact without Robin's presence. 2 Years On, 1971. This album marked Robin's return to the group. The track Lonely Days was the Bee Gees' first big hit in the United States, highlighting the vocal harmony of the three brothers. 2 Years On attempts to return to the cohesive style of their early works, mixing ballads and orchestral pop. Trafalgar, 1971. With a melancholy and thematic sound, Trafalgar features How Can You Mend a Broken Heart, which was the band's first US #1. The vocal harmonies in this album are complex and mature, with polished production. The lyrics address themes of loss and disillusionment, reflecting an introspective moment in the Bee Gees' career. To Whom It May Concern, 1972. This album is considered more experimental, with tracks that range from pop to psychedelic rock. It didn't achieve major commercial success but highlights the Bee Gees' ability to explore new sounds and styles. Life in a Tin Can, 1973. The sound of Life in a Tin Can is influenced by country rock. The album received a lukewarm reception, and while Saw a New Morning was released as a single, the work didn't achieve significant commercial success. This period marks a phase of lower popularity for the band. Mr. Natural, 1974. In Mr. Natural, the Bee Gees began experimenting with soul and R&B, genres that would define their future sound. This album served as a prelude to the Bee Gees' disco phase, including tracks like Throw a Penny. The production by Arif Mardin was crucial to the band's shift in style. Main Course, 1975. Main Course marked a complete transformation for the Bee Gees into the disco sound, with hits like Jive Talkin' and Nights on Broadway. This album revitalized their career and placed the Bee Gees at the center of the 1970s disco scene. Barry began using his falsetto prominently, which became a trademark of the band's sound. Children of the World, 1976. This album solidified the Bee Gees' success in the disco era, with the hit You Should Be Dancing. Sophisticated harmonies and Barry Gibb's falsetto highlight the band's ability to adapt to the new sounds of the time. Saturday Night Fever, 1977. The Saturday Night Fever soundtrack was a milestone in the Bee Gees' career, with hits like Stayin' Alive, How Deep Is Your Love, and Night Fever. The album sold millions of copies and cemented the Bee Gees as icons of the disco era, influencing pop culture and lifestyle. Spirits Having Flown, 1979. Following the success of Saturday Night Fever, Spirits Having Flown kept the Bee Gees at the top with hits like Too Much Heaven, Tragedy, and Love You Inside Out. The album continued to explore disco but with more pop and R&B influences. This was the band's last major album during the disco era. Living Eyes, 1981. This album attempted to distance itself from disco, reflecting the genre's decline. With a more rock and ballad approach, Living Eyes was less commercially successful but shows a more mature side of the band. ESP, 1987. After a hiatus, the Bee Gees returned with E.S.P., which includes the hit You Win Again. The album has a more modern sound, with refined production and influences from 1980s pop and soft rock. It was especially successful in Europe, marking the band's return to the charts. 1989. One mixes pop and soft rock, with the title track finding radio success. The album reflects the Bee Gees' resilience and their talent for adapting their music to different times. High Civilization, 1991. This album is more experimental, with electronic rock influences. Although it didn't achieve great commercial success, High Civilization showcases the Bee Gees' ability to explore and reinvent their sound. Size Isn't Everything, 1993. With Size Isn't Everything, the Bee Gees returned to romantic ballads and pop rock. Tracks like For Whom the Bell Tolls and Blue Island stand out, bringing a refined melancholy and emotional harmonies. Still Waters, 1997. This album presents the Bee Gees with a more modern sound, featuring tracks like Alone and Still Waters Run Deep. It is a mature work with introspective lyrics and sophisticated production. Still Waters was well received and solidified the band's enduring legacy. This Is Where I Came In, 2001. The last studio album by the Bee Gees, This Is Where I Came In, is a synthesis of the band's various phases. Each brother contributes his style, resulting in a varied work that revisits their pop, rock, and disco roots. The title track is a highlight, reflecting the Bee Gees' legacy and musical journey. The Bee Gees' discography is a testament to their adaptability and innovation, showing how they deeply influenced pop music and remained relevant for decades. Each album has its own brilliance, and together they form one of the richest bodies of work in popular music.